Hello and welcome to today's lesson. This is Martin Johnstone, and I'm going to be covering with you how to download and install your basic VoIP software so that you can connect through to the server, which in this case is going to be a software called XLite, as you can see here. And we're going to cover the first steps here. First thing to do is you're going to want to go to download.com. Simply put that into your browser, and this is simply how we're going to just get the software to begin with. So once you're there, go ahead and type in XLite into the search area, press enter. And you'll see it comes up as one of the first things. Here we go, XLite, download now. Go ahead and just click download now. Have the download come through. Once it does, you finish downloading the software. If you're using Windows Explorer, you'll have the option to run the software. Just say run software in that case, because you just want to install it. Otherwise, save the file and then open it. Just run it to a complete installation. It'll say it's going to request, once it's done downloading, it's going to request that you reboot your computer. It's not necessary. You can just say no. And in this case, when your thing shows up, when you actually run the software, you can go to your Start menu and find the program there. But once it's up, it's going to state that it's unregistered. I've already got my software set up, so it shows that my username is 100. But in your case, it's going to show that it's not registered. So the first thing that you want to do is configure it. And there's several important things that need to be configured. One of them, I just right-click the background here, and it pops up this little menu. One of them is the audio options. And the way that we get to that, the audio options, you'll see here under this tab area, we've got application options, and down here we have device options. Go ahead and click the headset there. I've already changed around my settings, but you'll see that we have a headset section and then a speakerphone section here. Those are the two things that we're going to be dealing with. The reason for that is, let's say for example you have a USB headset. That's probably going to be the best option that you have. A lot of the newer, higher quality headsets are now USB. So what you want to do for your headset is click here, and it'll say, let's say USB headset device. Go ahead and select that, and then for your microphone, you want to do the same thing. USB microphone device. Select that. Make sure that those two are your USB headsets are selected for this area here. You'll see here that you have three options. You want to make sure that these are not checked, or in other words, disabled. The reason for that is your computer will actually seek to do cancel out the echo, or make sure your voice is not too loud, or try and bring down the noise that it detects in the background and so forth. Now that might sound good first off, but it's not necessarily when it comes to trying to have your computer do that function. What will actually result is when you're speaking through to the customer, your computer's trying to process your voice and all the sound at the same time, which really builds in a lag. Your voice actually then arrives to the customer much later, and you'll find shortly here that it's vital that you do nothing to add any additional time between the time that you talk and the time that it actually takes for your voice to reach the customer. So this is just one way of taking out any additional vias. Down here you'll see the speaker section. Now normally what you want to do is just make sure that your USB headset is also selected for this as well. There's only one instance, or should be about one situation, where you would actually want your speaker to be the speakers on your regular computer, like your regular digital output, or just your standard speaker setting. Would be in the instance that you would expect incoming calls into your XLite software. And for example, if you have a team of people that are using your software phone, or that are using software phones also and logging into the same Ultimate Creation server, they then could know what your username is and then ring through directly to you to speak to you, and that would be used under circumstances where you were tagging or coordinating. Tagging during the sale, that is. And down here you want to make sure that these are also not selected, or in other words, not enabled. Once you're done here, go on ahead and click through to apply and then say OK. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up your account. Now, every person who receives a username and password actually has an account set up on the server. The way that you access that is you right-click the background here and go to SIP Account Settings. And then I'm going to left-click that so as to bring up that sub-menu. There we go. Normally, since if this is the first time that you're actually setting your system up, you'll find that your Add button will be active, meaning you can click it. In this case, it's not because I've already added in the account, but I'm going to show you basically, if I were to have clicked Add, it's going to pop the same menu as when it does when you press Properties. So you'll see here, I've already filled it in. So what you want to do under Display Name is put in your own name. And basically that's what it'll show. Let's say, for example, my username in this case is 100. But let's say, somebody who's on your call-in team, their username, let's say, is 105. When you would dial 105 with your software phone, which is a free phone call, by the way, because it's just dialing through Ultimate Creations server, it will show this name up here. This is the display name. See, it's appropriately named. Your username and your authorization username, just make them the same, whatever username you've been given, and fill in your password. And the domain is this address. This is like this is the IP address, or like you have an address for your home. This is the address for the Ultimate Creations server, and how your XLite software actually finds the way to connect through to the dialing system. So that number is 24.43.71.242. We'll probably simplify that later so you can just put in, dialerserver.oldcreate.com. But for right now, you can just fill in the direct address. There's one other point that you need to change in this area, and you'll find that under the Advanced tab up here. So go ahead and click the Advanced tab. And the reason why you're having to adjust these settings is because there's special security that's set up with the Ultimate Creations network. Basically, normally this option here is not 20. So you want to bring down this registry, as our register settings, right? The minimum time down to 20 seconds. And the reason for that is you want your software to communicate to the server and say, hey, I'm here. I basically have this voice connection to the server, and you needed to do it frequently. So go ahead and set that to 20. And there's one other option that you change, which is default session time. Bring that to 30. The reason for that is every 30 seconds, your software will basically go and communicate with the server again and say, hey, I'm still active, I'm still here. And essentially, the network security device basically won't cut you off mid a phone conversation as long as you have this set to 30. Once you're done there, go ahead and click OK. And at that point, say Close, and you'll notice that your menu system here will change. For some reason, it didn't change that time. I'll go ahead and just say OK here and close it. It'll say Discovering Network, and then say Registering. And once you're registered, it'll show your username. For some reason, it's taking. There we go. It just took a little bit longer than usual here. But see now, basically, once it says that your username is, let's say, 100, 105, 110, or 120, whatever it is, that means now you're actually logged into the system, and somebody can actually call you at extension 100 if they're logged into the system. So that concludes the lesson on how to use your XLite software. What we're going to move into on the next lesson is how to connect through your web browser to log into the server and actually get yourself set up to make phone calls. Okay, so thank you very much for listening.